Good morning. Welcome to the AGM of Community First, or use our proper title, Communities First Wessex. But it's easier if we shorten it to Community First. There are some housekeeping announcements, and those are on the slide over my shoulder. We've got no fire drill. You've probably found out where the toilets are, and you can see the rest of those on the slide. The notes, the agenda, the minutes of the last meeting, the last AGM, are on our website. You've probably looked at those, remembered every word that was printed there. But I'm looking for someone to propose that that's a fair record of the meeting that we held last year. Thank you. Could I have a seconder? Thank you. Good. All in favour? Yes, good. Thank you. That's really good. Community First has grown over the last 9 years with a number of mergers. We began in East Hampshire, then we had conversations with Havant, and then Winchester joined us, then Fareham, and the New Forest. So we've been growing oversize over about 9 years. During that period, we've gathered some assets and some liabilities. The assets we've put into a fund, which we call our development fund, our rainy day fund, our fund when everything goes wrong. And as I continue to talking, you'll realize that there are some challenges ahead. Last 3 years, we've tended to consolidate our position a little bit, because you can develop too quickly and you start to fall over yourself. And so last 3 years, we've calmed down a little bit and made sure that everything we said we would do, we have actually done. We still use the title that we manage centrally and we deliver locally. So we don't have people all over the place sort of thing. We've got a central team of people led by Tim, who'll be talking to us in a moment, and has a team of people, and here's a representative field of prisoners, staff, and they'll be contributing in a moment. We've always used the impression that we embrace change. I don't know if we embrace change, but we see that as something that other people do, and perhaps we don't embrace change ourselves a little bit. And we're entering a period where we're going to have to look very carefully at what we do. We've always faced challenges. It's easy to rush over the term mergers, those sort of things, but they're hard to do, and with mergers, you do sort of gain some things, but you lose other things. So as an organization, we've been constantly changed, because when you merge with another group, you tend to have to follow some of the things they want to do and then impose some of the things that you want to do as well. So we've been a changing animal over many years. During the process of merging, our first merger, East Hampshire, into Havant, we advertised for a new chief executive, and you all know that 9 years ago, Tim joined us. And during the process too, we've employed a lot of other staff as well. So Tim tends to manage the organization. That's the wrong thing to say. Tim does manage the organization, not tends to, sorry. And the board of Community First set the direction. When I started in East Hampshire, they said, come and join the board when I retired for about the 8th time. And when I went into a room, they said, this is the board, and there were 24 people sitting there. And I thought to myself, we're going to have difficulty here organizing who wants tea or coffee sort of thing. So we have slimmed the board down to about 8 or 9 people. We've got an interesting board of people, but a lot of them who are not here today because they spread their wings. One's in Europe, one's in the United States, one's getting over a car accident, one's not well, etc. So I've got a representative here, which is Paul. Would you like to give him a round of applause? It'll keep you warm. And also Jan, who is our deputy chair, who's going to say something to you in a moment. So we're a much smaller, tighter group than we were when we started in East Hampshire. Jan's now going to mention to the board, and we do need some replacements. You can tell by my look that age is beginning to work its way in. So I know that my time with Community First is coming to an end, and other people are in that boat as well. So John's just going to describe, in 5 minutes, describing how we're going about looking for more people on the board. We are at the moment a £3.5 million business. Now you need people on the board who know what they are about. And Jan's going to describe who we're looking for and how we're going to go about it. Applause for Jan.
Thanks. I'm not used to talking with a microphone, so sorry about that. We are looking for new board members. We need new blood onto the team. We need people who are passionate about community work. We need people with skills in marketing, in finance, in HR, but also we are looking to our membership. So later on this year, we are going to ask our members, because we don't have representatives of our membership on our board, and I feel that that's a gap, and the directors agree that that's a gap. So we will be coming out to the membership and saying who would like to come forward and be in the strategic position on the board. The board make the decisions that then direct the operational team. So it is an important position. So if you're coming onto the board, you're not looking about your organisation, but you are representing all of those smaller organisations that work with us, all of those partners that work with us. So we really want people to come forward. So it's, if you're younger, not like myself and Bev, it's quite good for your CV to be on a board. It's quite good to work in an organisation that's different to your organisation. So if you know people that are in the public sector or the private sector and they're looking to do something, to give back something, they'll push them our way. They'll have an informal chat with one of the team, either Paul, myself or Clive, and then when we've had an informal chat, then we send them to Bev, and Bev does all the rest of it. And then we'll put people forward to the board. So, I mean, if Bev doesn't put you off, then you're going to do a really good job. So, so going forward, we will be coming out to you, the membership. But in the meantime, if you're not a member and you'd like to think about coming onto the board, please approach one of us and we'll go through the process and talk to you. We will ask for a CV, only because we want to match your skills with the skills that we need on the board. Okay? Thank you.
The slide which is behind this, I hope covers all the things that I've currently talked about. I've done the apologies, the last meeting, what we've done in the last 9 years, the reasons for what we're doing as well. When I went to my first meeting in East Hampshire, one person eloquently said, "We are the voice of the voluntary organisations." Well, the board was 24 long, so I guess they had a voice. But when you looked at the size of the organisation, it was kind of like a mouse trying to run Parliament. You know, it kind of didn't ring right. And so we have tried to grow in scale and voice, so that when Tim goes to various meetings, he is talking about a big organisation. It has a voice. They listen to him. And I think that's one of the reasons that we have done our mergers. We also haven't finished that. We've had 3 years of having a little rest, but now we're ready to go again. It's not a question of grabbing anyone and saying, "Would you like to come and join us?" We tried 2 of those this last year, and we decided it wasn't right for Community First. And we've got another 2 things on the go at the moment. So the organisation hopefully will grow in size, not grabbing anyone, not doing anything just for the sake of doing it, but doing it so it increases our voice. In terms of the board itself, there are a number of people whose time it is to stand down from the board, but we don't want to lose those. In your pack on your table, you've got some pictures of 2 members of the board whose time it is to stand down. That's John, who is online from Europe at the moment, but we haven't got the technology, unfortunately, to put his picture behind me. But he is willing to stand again. And Dennis, you will probably see, who has a HR background in the health service, etc. We don't want to lose that as well, because we have got 100-odd staff, and HR, treating those the way they should be treated, is kind of important, and we need a voice for that. Those 2 people are happy to stand again, and as a board, we put that proposal to the AGM that we would like to keep those 2 people. Would I have a proposer for that, please? Thank you. A seconder? Please, someone put their hand up. It would help. Oh, thank you very much. It's lovely to have pity at last. That's really good. So those 2 people we're going to rejoin, if you like, having left. But we also want, and if you turn that piece of paper over with Dennis and John's picture on it, you will see that there is another of our prisoners, another of our people that we would like to agree that joins the board. And you can see his biography set out on that paper. So my proposal is that we ask Yin and Ezra to join our board. Have I got a proposer for that? Thank you. Seconder? Oh, lovely. Thank you. All in favour? Yeah. Oh, wonderful. That's really good. Thank you. With regard to the board as well, we have one person who's been on our board for an extremely long time, and you may say, well, haven't they been on it too long? But as we merge with various organisations, our constitution changed, so some people have been with us for 9 years. Jenny's probably been with us for about 14 years, because she used to work for Havant Council of Voluntary Service, if I got the title right. Is that right? That's it, sort of thing. So she's been here for a long time. Today I was going to walk over with a bunch of flowers to say thank you for your service, but unfortunately ill health has knocked Jenny on the head, so she's not with us. Can I now move on, please, to my next slide? Challenges. We have a few challenges ahead, and you can see what some of those are on the slide. You all know that there's pressure on the public first. We've had the Chancellor's statement, etc., etc. You watched all that on television. Basically, there's not a lot of money around. If you come to local authorities, you will have read the news that that's even worse. You know, is it true, is it not true that Hampshire's background, Birmingham is bankrupt, you know, etc., etc. And I guess local authorities are going to be forced back to dealing with statutory services. So money to voluntary organisations, etc., is going to be in short supplies. In terms of our own grant, which Tim looks after on behalf of all the voluntary, the CVS organisations in Hampshire, used to be £500,000. It is for this year. Next year it goes down to 350, and the year after it's a big zero, folks. No money at all. Community transport gets away next year a little better, and after that it's zero. So the money coming into Community First in a year's time, 17 months, because I'm counting, dries up completely. So that's going to be a challenge for us. Can I try the next slide, please? Our early thinking about what to do about this, well, we have confirmed our core business, which is the support and development of voluntary and community groups in Hampshire. What we've done so far is started a review of everything we do. You know, is it necessary? Should we be doing it? Should it change? Should it look slightly different? We're really convinced that we've got to be more commercial. That means we need to think about money a bit more. Now, we have been preparing people for this day that money's getting tighter, but now the day has come. People like Hampshire haven't got the money to give to us anymore. I think they have a moral obligation to stick with us, and it is not Hampshire. We look towards our district councils, and probably they're better for us sometimes than the county council. It's a bit hit and miss. Some are up and some are down, sort of thing. Some of them, with Tim's persuasion, have even offered us a 2-year contract in one place. Not just 1 year, but 2 years funding. So it varies a little bit. So we've got to refine our current model of working. We need to streamline some services. We need to think about modern technology a bit more, and I know that's difficult because people think their jobs are going to disappear, etc., but it could enhance us. We ought to embrace it. We ought to see what it can do for us. We need to be more efficient, responsive, productive, and efficient. And we ought to talk more in terms of partnership rather than entity. We don't need to form an entity sometimes. I could do work with the people sitting on this table in front of me. We don't need to form a constitution, everything. Well, so we ought to agree doing something. If we want to do something, if we want to go to Blackpool next Friday, let's not form a company. Let's go to Blackpool. You know, the lady in front can look after the money. This man looks as though he'd be a good chairman. The rest of them could be the committee. Let's get on and do the job. Let's not fuss about entity. And so we need to work with others and to do and not just talk about it. I don't want to talk about going to Blackpool. I actually want to go to Blackpool. Let's get on with that task. So that's our early thinking. Moving on. So we've got more work to do. We have a shape in our mind of what the organisation looks like. It probably isn't very far away from what we do already. Next slide, please. So in our thinking, we've got sort of a Janus approach looking 2 ways. One is we want to look towards the work we do to support a team of people out there working with various organizations. Size of the team is not defined at the moment, but they need to be people what we've called animateurs, people who do things. Funny French word, but it's not a bad word. It's about doing something. Animated, you grab hold of it and you do something. You don't just sit and talk about it. So we want that sort of team to work across Hampshire. Where's the money coming from? Remember, the Hampshire money has now disappeared. So where's it coming from? Well, thank goodness we kept services. We do run buses. We do run home help services, etc. Those organizations are going to have to be more commercial because at the moment, I think we can prove, Tim, that they're covering their costs. Those are covering their costs, not costing the organization any money to keep them running. Do they make a profit on top of that is an interesting question. Some do, some don't. So we've got 17 months to make sure that that situation improves. Now, they're not going to cover the cost of everything, so we still are going to have to look for money from outside. People like Tim are going to have to be out there, not on a flag day, because it's not worth the money. But there is money around outside, and we need to sort of hunt for that. So our plan is, our core business is A, and if you like, we are going to fund it via B and some other work as well. Lastly, because I'm running out of time, the future. Well, there are challenges about, and I think I've referred to those, and I think you can read the rest of those words on that slide. I think our future can be good as long as we all work at it, as long as we are serving you, as long as we get feedback from you too about what you want from this organisation. The AGM is about us explaining what we do, and it's about you saying, well, that's not very good. Well, I like that. Why don't you do a bit more of this? So there are opportunities during the day, and Jan will be leading discussions on that with tables, etc., to get feedback from you. Do these plans sound all pie in the sky? We as a board think that they could work as long as we all put our backs into it. But it's your opportunity as well as an annual general meeting to say what you want as well. Time's against me, and I'm now going to hand over to Tim. Tim, come and tell us. Tim with the team is going to explain